Hey, everybody, and welcome to Cool Conversations with Consciouspreneurs. I am Paula Robbins. I'm the founder of Consciouspreneurs International, and I am here with one of my dearest friends, Leanne McClain. Leanne has been a member of Consciouspreneurs International since we founded the program in 2019. She's a really good friend of mine. She is a healer in my network, and I just adore and love her message and her walk in life. Such a cool lady. So thank you, Leanne, for being here. So glad you made the time for this conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I was so thrilled when you started Consciouspreneurs, and to be able to be in on that in the ground level has been awesome. And thank
Yeah.
you for having me.
Well, you've been with us for the whole time. You've gotten to see like all of the different calls and the interviews and kind of just the collective that I'm intending to build so we can support one another. But, I wanted to bring these conversations to other consciouspreneurs to basically kind of just check in with each other and learn, how are we walking our walk together? So, your walk, you and I worked together for quite a few years, and to get to see just the evolution of Leanne has been so amazing. But I would love for you to share, for those who are watching or listening, um, how did you become a consciouspreneur? What's your perspective on this little story?
That's a good question. Uh, well, before we started working together, it's been a long road. Before we started working together, I was doing paperwork for my then husband's business, doing his accounting. So as I was doing that, I was listening to different interviews and different talks, and I listened to the Shift Network Winter of Wellness, and started off there. And they just had so many really cool things to offer. And I started with reconnective healing, which is a form of energy healing. And then I became a heart math coach, which is really, again, it's an energetic healing of managing stress. Not healing, it's a way for people to manage their own stress and take control of their own lives. It's phenomenal work. And then as my life was falling apart, I found Paula, and we worked together, like you said, for a few years, and really helped me come to grips and see. So I was in a very abusive relationship, and when we started working together, I would not have even admitted that. And through the process of working together, you opened my eyes. I saw that, and I was able to come to the point where in that relationship, um, that I knew that I needed to leave that relationship, but I was able to do it in a very loving way, in a very forgiving and loving way, which made a huge difference in my life and the life of my children, and maybe his life too. Uh, but I knew that I needed to do something. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I loved it, but I had no income. I had no way to support myself, and I was going to get divorced. And so I said to you one day, I said, Paula, I think you have the coolest job in the world. I loved what you did, and I knew what it had done for me. And you said to me, Leanne, you should do this. And I took it from there and just ran with it. And I did a 150-hour course with the Transpersonal Hypnotherapy Institute. I learned cellular release hypnotherapy with Anne at the Golden Portal Institute. And you have been my mentor and helped me every step of the way to get me where I am today. So it's been a fantastic journey.
Well, I love your journey. It's been just so cool to walk with you. I'm only going to correct one little piece, and that is that I did not open your eyes. I held your hand and walked right next to you as you opened them yourself. And what a cool thing to witness. Gosh, I mean, I get to witness this with a lot of different people that I work with, people that I love, people that I respect and look up to. Um, but there is a level of awakening that I think is happening in the world. And I think a lot of people are stepping into higher purpose in their life path. Um, And as you've stepped into this particular life path and you've been working with some people, I would imagine that you've gotten to witness a few awakenings yourself. So tell us a story, if you can think of one, of some of the people you've worked with and you've really gotten to see that light come on in their eyes.
I will. I want to make a comment about what you said. I live in a very small town in a very rural area, and I really thought that I would not be able to find a client base where I live. And I do most of my work online on the platforms, on Zoom, basically. But what I discovered was that people were actually much more open to doing this work and to having evolutionary conversations, much more so than I gave them credit for, quite honestly. And so don't limit yourself. I think that I was limiting myself by my own belief, but if you can overcome that and see that that the world is changing and that people are hungry for evolutionary, spiritual, conscious work in whatever whether you're in real estate or healing or, working in a restaurant, it's all there. So now a story. Ask that again, because I kind of got off track. I'm sorry.
Just tell us a story of someone that you've had the privilege of working with and seen where some of the healing work you're doing with them has brought that light to their eyes. Something has shifted and healed, and then all of a sudden they're like, a different level of enlightenment occurred.
Okay. Well, I hadn't thought about it exactly like that, a different level of enlightenment. I worked with for a while, I was working with a lot of people with physical issues. And so I worked with a lady who, and this is, okay, I have two stories. One of my favorite, was one of my favorite stories on a physical level, is that she had headaches. She had really, really bad migraines. And we did a series of sessions together. And one of the ones that we got to was the original cause of having the headache. And what she had heard or what she saw was the original cause. It's that she had gotten hit in the head with an axe and had died. And this was in a previous life. So we did the session, and then it was like, that was kind of cool. And then after that, about within a few days, she was like, my headaches have changed. And then after a couple of weeks, she said, my headaches are gone. And so not only did she have the physical healing, the headaches were gone, but also she was like, that awareness that could happen, that she could heal with using, at that level, what was life-changing for her. It just totally opened her eyes for her. Mm-hmm. And she has gone on to become a Reiki master and start some of her healing work.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. So,
another, I will just say, success story. I don't know about enlightenment so much, but a lady she was afraid to drive. And so that's why she came to me. She wanted to help clear that phobia, that fear of driving. And so we did a lot of work. And as it turns out, when she was 16 years old, she had been in a car accident. Mm-hmm. And she at the same time, she was coming out to her very conservative church and family that she was gay. And so this was a very traumatic time in her life. And those things combined, I think, created her inability, her fear around driving. So we did a lot of work around all of that. And the things that changed for her were her relationships, the relationship that she was in at the time, the relationships with her family, that she was finally able to, I will say forgive, but she just saw them. It was like, I love you. She's had such a great love for her family. And then I was talking to her a couple of months later, and she said, I'm moving. I'm going to drive across. I rented a U-Haul. I'm going to drive across the country. and I'm leaving. It was really nice to work with you. I was like, wait, you're going to drive across the country? And she's like, yeah, what's about that? And I was like, because 3 months ago, you wouldn't drive to Starbucks. And she
Wow.
was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's really cool. So, and how about you? Of all the work you've done, because you've done some pretty cool work, what would you say has been one of the like deeper challenges that you were kind of up against or that you faced that shifted for you?
Well, in doing the work, I was able to really, connect with my higher self and know that they're really, really tangibly see and believe and feel and experience something greater than me, but also a part of me, to
Mhm.
be able to mesh with that and utilize that. And then I started down my own spiritual path. I studied integral enlightenment with Craig Hamilton and developed a really strong meditation practice. Started doing work with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I just kind of really felt like I went all. I mean, I could name 5 or 6 people that I was that I really, really followed and listened to and studied with, and learned both the quantum physics, the of who we are, and the spiritual part of who we are, and have really enjoyed that meshing of science and spirituality and weaving those together. And it really is very much of who I am today, and how I live my life, and understanding things from a greater perspective as far as synchronicities go. There's no such thing as coincidence. We create our own lives. We
Mhm.
have that power. And sometimes we need some help.
Sure.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
So tell us about the work that you do. So if you were to give yourself a description, a title, or, what would that be? And what are your offerings right now to help people? I know that you help a lot of people. So I'm kind of curious how you see it now. Because an idea, but I don't think we've ever really had this conversation. What are you doing now?
What am I doing now? You're right. Um, so of course, as life changes, ebbs and flows, I think I come up with a new title every year or so. And so I was really enjoying doing some medical intuitive aspects, but that's not but I decided that, it's something that I can do. But I've kind of let that go to the side a little bit. And now I will just say that I am a transpersonal healer. And then I added in cellular release specialist, because I think that I know that the cellular release hypnotherapy is the foundation of my work. And so that's helping people heal traumatic experiences through trauma, or traumatic through hypnotherapy.
Mhm.
And it's very, there is some good science around it. It's also very deep personal work. It's very spiritual work. And what I love about that is that it's twofold, because then to me, you have the opportunity to heal trauma, and that will change your life, whether that's trauma in this lifetime or in another lifetime. But having those spiritual experiences is what's really life changing. And that can be, those spiritual experiences can be, anything from, just spending some time being quiet and listening to your intuition and following your heart, or getting insight, whether that's developed clairvoyantly, or clairaudio, or whatever your clair is, to really experience that.
Right.
And a lot of times people want to have conversations with people that they love, people that are either still in this lifetime or that have passed, and
Mhm.
being able to facilitate those conversations is just tremendous, and so healing.
Agreed.
Yeah, there's a
Very
lot
cool.
going on, right?
Well, so you've been a consciouspreneur now. What is it? 6 6 years, 7 years now.
I'm not good at time, so I don't.
But you've been doing a lot of your own work as a professional, as an entrepreneur for a while now. One of the questions that I love to ask in every one of these conversations is, what is one piece of advice that you would offer to other consciouspreneurs? What is like one of the greatest lessons and things that are a part of your foundation that you would offer to other consciouspreneurs?
So, do your own work. You know, I mean, they say that we are a few steps ahead of our clients. And I don't know how much I totally buy into that, but definitely do your own work. So if you're wondering, like, why am I not making enough money? Why am I not being successful? Why am I not finding clients? Do your own work to clear those blocks. And then, you know, and set intentions as far as not, and I mean, and you could set in broad intentions, like I want to have a successful business, but also set some really clear, concrete, measurable intentions, and not goals necessarily, but intentions. Yeah. And then manifest those and make them come true. I'm going to have so many clients. I am going to make so much money, and don't worry so much about where it comes from. Just set the intention and do it. And another, I think, something that is really, really important for people to know is that you are not your results. So if you set those intentions, or you try, or like, you know, if you are trying to get a client and they say, no, I don't want to work with you, understand that is not you. That just means that they weren't ready. Right. And go on to the next one, because you will get a lot of no's, but you are not your results. Right. And, you know, and the same goes with the healing that we do. And like you corrected me about that you had opened my eyes, and it is very, very true that we serve people, we help people. And in any profession that you're in, if you're doing it, I think consciously, to know that that you are there as a guide, and you are there to help them, and you can walk with them, and you cannot do that for them. Right.
You know, when you do it for a long time, you have some insights that can kind of nudge them a certain direction on the path that they might be resistant to look at. But for the most part, we're always walking with each other. And, you know, one of the things that I have found the most fascinating about this work as a practitioner who does her own work is a lot of the times what ends up in my office and in, you know, the kind of themes that different clients are going through is oftentimes almost like that little message of my own inner wisdom going, maybe this is a sign you should look at this one. You know what I mean? I mean, that's happened numerous times in the many, many years that I've been a consciouspreneur as a metaphysician and a hypnotherapist. Many times you can tell that we all do really walk together, because a lot of the people that I'm helping are also, you know, helping me to identify some of the stuff I may need to look at, which I love. Sure. And I trust a lot. So,
yeah, follow your intuition. You know, look for the synchronicities in life, because they are there. They are abundant. You know, there is certainly enough to go around. There is no, you know, when you can get out of the lack mentality, you know, and cooperate rather than having competition. And, you know, life is abundant.
Yeah, it really can be. And the word that I love the most is allow. I struggle with it, I'll be honest, but I love the word. And it's been one that I've really, especially this last couple of years, really had to kind of deepen into and focus on and feel the energy of allowance. Allow it, not, you know, manifest it or intend it, but just allow. It is, it just is. If I can allow. So it's led me to some more deep work, you know, always different layers that show themselves when we're ready. So, you know, I love a term that you use a lot. You use a term, evolutionary conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so valuable because I think that when you work at a deep level in consciousness, and consciouspreneurs come in so many different types of work, real estate agents, and people who sell various products, or people who offer various services as healers of many, many forms. I believe that many of us have these evolutionary conversations about, who we are, what's the circle of life. And you've created this new summit that I'm really thrilled about. And I don't know when anybody's going to watch this particular interview, but I hope that they see it in time while you're still sharing your information about the evolutionary conversations of death, dying, and living, because it is such a valuable topic and a really intense topic that I think just is so important for us to have. You and I both went through some pretty significant circle of life stuff this last year, with my losing my mom and you losing your dad. It really has been just such an incredible experience in life. I talk about it an awful lot. And when you do this summit and you have all of these different, people that you love and admire, sharing in this conversation about that circle of life, death and dying and living, keyword living.
Mm-hmm.
It is evolutionary. And I'm so grateful that, you brought this topic up and that you're allowing that out there. And I just want, people to find you, and I want them to find these conversations. How can we find you? What do you want to share about how to find you? And again, I know you're not sure how long you'll have the summit running, but anything about that you care to add other than what I've shared?
Sure. So the evolutionary conversations bit, I think that really is my having those conversations and bringing that awareness is part of so much part of the human experience. And I think that is those are the things, those conversations are that lights my fire. I love to have those conversations about humans evolving, what's possible on the planet, who we can become, all of that. So that's the evolutionary conversations about that. The name of my business is The Art of Evolved Living. So how can we live that evolutionary life? And that's where you can find me, is at theartofelvolvedliving.com. The summit came about because I was going to do a summit about evolutionary conversations. And then as my dad was dying last November, there was a couple of things happened that were just grabbed me. And one of those is that, well, first of all, he asked me, I had the honor of being his care provider while he was dying. And he asked me, he said, "What is it like to die?" I was like, I don't have an answer. I don't know, but he wanted the answer. He's like, has anybody written a book? And it's like, well, there's the hospice book, but so that's the physical part, but the spiritual part, the human part, I didn't have an answer. And so the other thing that my daughter said to me in all of her wisdom was, Mom, the things that we don't talk about are sex, money, and dying. And yet those are intimate parts of our life and we don't talk about it. And I was like, okay, I want to change that. So I want to answer my dad's question, what is it like to die? And I want to talk about death and dying, because I truly, truly believe in what, and in doing the summit, what I have really discovered is that if we can overcome that fear of death and dying, then we can live a full life. And so why don't we just do that?
Right.
So I put together the summit and have had and it in and of itself has been a profound experience. And so it's set to go live in the middle of February, but I know that the content will be repurposed. If anybody wants it, just reach out and I'll send it to you.
And here's the cool part, it's free.
It's free.
You're not going to find too many summits that are free. The recordings, the free time. Leanne poured heart and soul into this to make it a gift. And you won't find that too very frequently with a lot of these summits that are available out there. And the content on these summits are really great. And they're worth a lot of money, you know? So the fact that you've made it a gift just because of something that was a desire to answer a question for your dad is a beautiful gift for him. You know, and for all of us that will benefit from it. So I'm one of your interviews. So thank you for inviting me to be a part of it, because this has been such an incredible year for me on this conversation. It was very evolutionary for me to have the gift of walking my mom home during her hospice. So, you know, we have this in common. And I said this so many times, and it's interesting because I said it sarcastically at the time. But I say it now with so much love and so much meaning that you've never lived until you've provided hospice care for someone that you love. And it was a very difficult time, but the honor of it and the gift of having that time to really know that she trusted that she was loved as she left this physical body was really very important to me. And it was just a big honor. So, you know, it's about living. Death is about living. And that's not an easy thing for people to really fully grasp. So those conversations, I think, will help people grasp that a lot. And there will be the link to your website, artofelvolvedliving.com, that will be posted wherever this interview is posted. It'll be in the Consciouspreneurs membership. It'll be on the Consciouspreneurs Facebook page, and then on my YouTube page too. So people will be able to find you and find the information pretty easily. So what a pleasure. Thank you so, so much for joining me in this way. I just love you to death. I'm so grateful that we've gotten to walk so many years together and have become such good friends and, you know, cohorts for the greater good. You know, I dig it. So thanks.
Well, you are doing work that transforms the world, and that is incredible. And thank you for all that you do. We
are doing work that transforms the world. Thanks. All right, baby. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.